Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to Virginia International Raceway. We are here for the Chasing the Delta Academy races. My name is Alex Patterson. Aaron Myers is with me to my left and about 1,000 miles away.
Hey,
And this should be a very interesting race.
yeah, to say the least. We've been talking about it all season. These guys just don't stop progressing, don't stop learning, don't stop getting faster, better racecraft. The list goes on. So, we're expecting this week and our following week, we're going to have some very tight races up and down the field.
The progression that these drivers have made from the beginning of the season and even their beginning of the time with Chasing the Delta is obvious. Um, Most people are their I rating is a lot higher, their confidence is a lot higher, their understanding of racing is a lot higher, and yeah, it's very rewarding to see hard work pay off like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, you know, it's so rewarding to see those light bulbs go off. And you can see it
Yes.
in the race ability, in people's IR rating. I don't think anybody is negative from where we started at the beginning of the season. So big kudos to all these guys.
Yes. So we will have two races today. The first one will start in about 6 minutes at 9 p.m. EST. The next one will start in about 35 minutes. Um, and they are each 20-minute races, which, by the way, 20 minutes is now the new length next season for the GT4 Fixed.
As it should be. This is honestly years too late. Why we haven't shifted to this sooner, who knows?
Only iRacing knows, and they are not going to tell us, but it is a very welcome development. And when 15 minutes, in cars that are these powerful and these competitive, just isn't enough time. So I'm glad they're adding the extra 5 minutes. And we are about to start getting in our first laps with Josh King putting in a 154.1 to start us off.
Now he does have a second and then some on most of the laps so far, but it is pretty early into our qualifying session as well. I know a lot of these guys are just getting warmed up, finding their groove, finding some space on track, and I'm sure those lap times are going to be getting much closer.
And not only that, but the guys that have been running officials this week have been doing very, very well. And which means that this race in itself should be pretty competitive near the top.
Yeah, much like the weeks I should say, much like the weeks we've seen in the past, those front three, sometimes front five cars, they just will not separate from each other.
Yes, and the narrative this week is going to be the same as last week, which is anybody going to be able to keep up with Josh King?
Yeah, he has set the bar just about every race.
Yes, Josh King graduated this season. He was usually competing with Carter Price and Luis Sampaio. Um, and then he has just had a burst of speed, a burst of improvement that has brought him up to almost 2,400 I rating. Not to say that the other two haven't. Luis Sampaio is at 1988 I rating, which means that he is potentially one race away from graduating and joining the Purple Gang.
Yeah, well said. And I think he actually has the biggest I rating gain so far this season. I believe
Yes.
that is 600 IR in the last 9 weeks. Um, Not to take away from anybody else's gains, but that is a chunk to walk away with.
Yeah, and once again, the guys that put in the effort, they do the telemetry reviews, they run the official races, they risk their I rating to try to do different things. It pays off. Josh King now he's now at a 153.8. Ooh.
Blistering.
We do have Joseph Essinger, who himself is at a 1.8K I rating. He has gotten into the 154s. So he is about 7/10 behind Josh, but the rest of the field has only got maybe one or two more laps to be able to catch him.
And since we're talking about lap times, of course, we have to talk about track conditions. So we are looking
Yes.
at a partly cloudy Saturday morning here. 75-degree ambient temp with a roughly 80-degree track temp.
Yes.
Those are
So,
pretty prime conditions, I might say.
yeah. Don't think there's much to complain about here. The track should be maybe a little bit slippery on the cold side. But other than that, we should have pretty ideal conditions. And Luis Sampaio puts in a 154.1, so he is right on Josh's tail. What a lap.
Yeah, as expected, those two flying up in front.
Yes, and Carter Price right now is 2 seconds up on his best time. His best time was a 155.6. So we will see whether he'll be able to hold on for the rest of the lap. And oh no, he spins out and
Commentators
crashes.
curse into the S's.
Catter, you were doing so well. That's a bummer. It's all right. We've seen him last week. He also had a pretty rough qualifying, came all the way back to finish second. So he is dangerous wherever he starts, but that is a little bit disappointing for him.
Luckily, that is where that second race of the evening comes into play. If that race one just does not go your way, you always have that second opportunity for some redemption.
Yes. So we have now just ticked under the 1 minute mark here. So anybody that crosses the finish line before the clock hits zero can finish their lap. So it's a little bit like F1 in that regard. So we've got maybe everybody's either on their last lap or has one more lap after.
It looks like we do have quite a few drivers who are on their PB lap at the moment. Luis Sampaio up 5/10ths, Joseph Essinger up a second and a half, Angelo Bovino up almost a second himself. This is going to be close here at the finish.
Yeah. And that 5/10 would be enough to propel Luis past Josh. So if he's able to keep it, we might have a surprise pole sitter.
Well, right on board with Luis for the remainder of this lap.
Yep, coming down the roller coaster. Oh, that is not the roller coaster. He is now navigating the Oak Tree corner, which Swelligo recently called one of the most difficult corners in motorsports.
It is a very, very tricky corner. You come in so hot from the previous left-hand exit, and then it's just heavy braking with a very deceptive double apex. Some people like to miss the first one, some people don't.
Yeah, and almost right on cue, Luis falls to about a tenth slower. So that particular complex, it's very easy to lose time and get caught out there. So Luis is going to have to put together a monster last sector, and if he wants to challenge Josh. He is on the final straight here. It is a long straight at VIR. He is going to cross the finish line with a 154 flat. That is so close. About a tenth and a half behind Josh King. This is going to be competitive.
Yeah, very, very close race. Even if Luis can't get the jump on him at the beginning, he's going to stay in that draft for the entire race. We've seen him be patient time and time again, and I'm sure we're going to see quite the battle, especially towards the end of race one.
This is going to be exciting. You've also got a couple of guys that are not qualifying, including the Ringmeister, Jeremy Melton, and Andrew Slovak put in a time that is well below what he likely will be able to do. And the Perm Mullet will also be starting from the back.
Taking a look at our starting grid, we will have Josh King in pole position, followed by Luis Sampaio in P2, Joseph Essinger in P3, followed by Angelo Bovino in P4, Catter Price in P5, and Alex Lofi in P6. The Scientist in P7, that might be a personal best in qualifying, followed by Eric Faust in P8. As you said, Andrew Slovak qualifying a little bit lower in P9, followed by Dylan Caldwell in P10, and Chris Kohler finishing out our last driver to set a time in P11.
And as we tick down the final seconds before our drivers grid up, what are you expecting going into turn one?
Well, to be honest with you, I never wish this, but I am expecting a little bit of chaos.
Yes, the turn one on the VIR, it is a heavy braking zone, and for a lot of drivers, they're coming into it a little bit slower than they usually would because of the pace lap. So what we are going to find is people struggling to figure out their braking point, especially if they haven't run a lot of officials, and hopefully they'll be able to navigate this safely, but we will see.
I do have the utmost confidence in this group of drivers. This group generally is one of the cleanest, I would say, across the service. We don't see a whole lot of issues as we see them having a disco party in
Yep.
pit lane there.
It's always important to make sure that your flashers work.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is like a lot of integrity goes into flashing your lights at somebody. And if you think you're flashing somebody and they're not seeing it, then you're just wasting a button press. And in racing, every little thing matters.
Every button press, every grass blade that you might touch with your tires, a little bit of
That's
gravel.
true. VIR are an interesting. The only track that I can think of where the pace lap starts in the pit lane.
Yeah, as far as I know, this is the only track, at least on the service of iRacing, at least.
We tick down here. The weather is actually 8 p.m. according to the current weather conditions. So it's starting to get dark out there. We might actually see this transition into a night race.
Yeah, I take that back. I saw an A instead of a P there, so yeah, it is Saturday evening, not Saturday morning.
Yes, it is 19 hours and 56 minutes. So the races this week have not been at night. This will add maybe a little bit of a monkey wrench into drivers, as their preparation might be a little bit less hard to visualize as they go through the course.
All right, so our pace car is off. We'll see these guys in their formation lap. Hopefully, getting along. Not a whole lot of drama, at least.
Yes, you got to get along during the pace lap. That is a requirement. The pace lap in officials is where you start to warm up your tires. You start to get a gauge of who's around you and decide who do I want to avoid, who do I think is I can trust. It's very important to be very aware of your surroundings as you go through the pace lap.
Yeah, that is a great point. Not enough people focus on vehicle identification, you would say.
Yes. The two biggest skills racecraft wise that you can do is identify the dangerous driver and then avoid the dangerous driver.
Absolutely. Nothing ruins your race faster than getting tangled up with somebody who has got nothing to lose.
That's right. And perhaps missing a few brain cells. We do have a pretty long pace lap here. It's almost a 2-minute lap at full speed. So we've got some time to kill. So next week we have Imola, and that will be the end of our season. We have looked at the new iRacing development update. The GT4 is getting some upgrades. We are going to have a completely new tire model. So it's going to be a little bit more like the GT3, where the tires won't be up to temperature real quick. You might have to be careful on your outlap. And then the wet and dry tires will have the new tire model. The new Mustang GT4 is being released. And they've made a little bit of changes to the way that the GT4s drive, where they're going to be adding a little bit of top speed and removing some of the grip in the corners. So the GT4 is already pretty hard to drive, might have just gotten harder.
Yeah, everybody has a steep learning curve in just a matter of weeks. The first one to figure it out, we'll see a lot of points from it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we will likely get that during week 13, and then week 1 will be right around the corner. And the learning that drivers do during that week is going to pay off in a big way. As it is getting dark. Surprise night race, folks. Bet you didn't see that one coming.
We definitely need to keep everybody on their toes. Everybody should always be prepared for a little bit of a surprise. Need to be able to adapt quickly.
As the pace lap heads down roller coaster into the Hog Pen Bend, and we are going to get our first race underway. The pace car is off. Josh is off, and race 1 is underway.
Green flag, green flag.
Looks like everybody's already fairly separated. We might not see too much drama coming into the braking zone here.
Well, we did see Joseph Essinger pass Luis Sampaio into second, but Luis is right on his tail. Little bit of right rear contact there, but they're both okay. It would seem like we did not have any chaos going around turn 1. Good job, everybody.
So far, like you said, everybody keeping it nice and clean, and Josh King off already to building a gap.
And Luis Sampaio, he has spun out. And that, he is going to have a lot to do. Yeah, he hit the grass on the inside of turn 4 and spun out all on his own.
Yeah, hate to see it. That is not the way anybody wants to start their race. And that's not the way anybody wants to beat Lewis either.
That's right. So Luis is going to have a lot of work to do. Meanwhile, Josh King already out to a 2.5 lead, and Joseph Essinger going to try to stay on his tail.
He's still slightly within that draft. He needs to hold on to that if he has any chances of starting to claw that gap down.
I think the draft is gone. He's almost got a 2-second lead. Another thing to think about is Andrew Slovak, who is likely our fastest driver that's ever gone through the CTD program, has already made it up to 5th place, and whether he can catch Josh or not is going to be up for grabs.
Andrew does have tons of pace. He's definitely been working a lot on some of his patience and some of his, getting past other cars that might be holding him up a little bit. We might see him hold back, maybe, or maybe he might make that dash for P1. We'll see.
I have never known Andrew Slovak to hold back. That does not sound like something Andrew Slovak does.
It is definitely not his middle name, that's for sure.
That is true. We do have a battle between the Permed Mullet and Eric Faust. As they go through turn 2, Eric goes off and spins. He tried to keep it around the outside there and just didn't have the grip.
Permed Mullet right on through into P7. He does have a gaggle of Porsche Caymans right behind him.
But he's got a mullet.
Some say he has a mullet purely for distraction to the cars following him.
I mean, it is distracting. It's so majestic. And it is so just scintillatingly attractive to look at that it's like a Happy Gilmore level distraction.
Yeah, well said. That is the most Happy Gilmore thing I've heard on this broadcast so far.
That is good. Meanwhile, Josh King has not quite lost Joseph Essinger. He has maintained that 1.5 second gap as they head down the roller coaster.
And we do have another battle heating up. Andrew Slovak, 4/10 behind Angelo Bovino for P4. He is just storming through this field.
Yep. Started from the back, but... Oh, no, never mind. He goes ahead and overtakes Angelo on the inside of Hogpen and is now going to look at Adder Price. And now Josh, our fastest lap of the day at 1:54.2, or at least the fastest lap of this race. That is very quick. Andrew going at full tilt is going to have a hard time catching up with them.
Meanwhile, we do have another battle heating up between the Permed Mullet and Jeremy Melton. Jeremy being another one of our graduates versus the Permed Mullet being a coach. This is going to be an interesting little tango between these two.
Yeah, Jeremy, a season 1 graduate, a very fast driver in his own right. Luis Sampaio, though, has recovered to P9, and he will also be coming up on the show. One of the trickiest corners, and 2 of them go off, and that was going to let Luis just drive right on through.
The Permed Mullet holds on to his position for now, but if he continues those costly mistakes, Lewis is going to gain that spot with ease.
Yes, that is a very tricky corner. You have to set it up through the S's. And if you're not able to do that, you end up either going too fast or you are too far to the inside. And you have to slow down to a crawl through that turn. And if you don't get the last, complex straight, then you're going to lose a lot of time there. Or you're just going to end up going off. So Luis Sampaio now right on the back. You can see that mullet. It's flapping in the breeze. They head on to the front straight.
Lewis in the
Luis
draft.
does have a run. The Perm Mullet doing his best to decrease the vortex of danger. Luis does go off, and that is probably going to give the Perm Mullet some breathing room going into turn 1.
And he goes wide, missing the first apex. Lewis right back into this.
Yeah. This is going to be a tough hold for the Perm Mullet. Especially, as it gets dark, the drivers that have the most experience on the track are going to be doing the best.
Yeah, absolutely. That muscle memory is, priceless, really.
Another battle that's happening right now is Andrew Slovak has caught up to Catter Price, and they will be battling. So, which battle are you hoping to look at?
Let's keep an eye on Catter versus Andrew here. It looks like they've caught up with Joseph Essinger as well, so we have a 3-way battle for P2. It's gonna get spicy, I'm sure.
Yes, it is. They are now on the back straight, heading toward the roller coaster. The roller coaster is the tough one too. It's a hard braking zone. You have to be on the brakes for a long time. It is a very tricky downhill right-hander, followed by the Hog Pen, which is another tricky downhill right-hander. And that sets up for the long straight. VIR, you got to get the exits right on the really tough corners, otherwise you are punished.
Absolutely, and Hogpen being the most punishing one, at least in my opinion.
Yes. And Slovak has put in the fastest lap of the race of 1:54.1. Meanwhile, as this battle continues on, Josh King is just going to chill. And we do see that Luis Sampaio has gotten past the Perm Mullet into 7th. Ooh, some battling between P2 and P3, Joseph and Cotter.
Joseph a little bit wide there. Catter making
King.
his way through. Can he hold on to it?
Well, Joseph finds himself under attack right away from Andrew Slovak. And we've seen these 3-car battles before, the car in the middle has the most pressure.
It's the trickiest spot to be in, really. You never know if you should be attacking, defending. You have to think so many corners in advance, knowing where both the front and the rear car are going to wind up. That's a tricky spot. I do not envy him.
Joseph Essinger, our only non-Porsche driver today, driving the BMW, which theoretically has a top speed advantage here on the Porsche. So we will see whether that turns out to be the case as they head down this back straight.
It does look like Katter's pulling away slightly.
He is. Joseph under heavy pressure from Andrew Slovak. They head down the roller coaster. We are going to head right into Hog Pen.
Meanwhile, looks like Jeremy Melton had a little bit of an excursion, dropping all the way down to P12. Not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, and he seems to have retired from the race. Unfortunate. We'll talk that up to maybe some technical problems. Maybe, sometimes you get engine failures. Andrew Slovak going to the inside on turn 1. Joseph Essinger closes the door brilliantly and keeps the place.
Andrew keeping that pressure on, though.
Yes, that was a dictionary definition defensive move by Joseph Essinger, and if he hadn't done that, Andrew Slovak would have likely have gotten behind it. But they are battling. Andrew is sniffing around Joseph's bumper.
Filling those
going
ears.
Going
He's
on the inside. Ooh.
See, there's that patience I was referring to.
That is not typically a passing zone. So to see Andrew go for that move was certainly a little bit anxiety-provoking, I'm sure, for both of them.
Absolutely.
We have reached nighttime. I mean, it is dark out there, and we are about halfway done through the race. The inside of Oak Tree goes Andrew Slovak. They are bumper to bumper, and they spin!
Little bit of contact there, and Andrew loses the car.
Well, we'll see if that patience continues.
I might have spoke too soon.
It's a very difficult place to pass the Oak Tree. It's really hard to be inconsistent going up the hill there and then onto the road, and unfortunately Andrew came away the worst of that. But still maintains P4. He now has a lot of time to make up though, so we will see whether we get patient Slovak or impatient Slovak.
I'm gonna go with the latter on this one, considering the situation.
So meanwhile, now our battle for P2 might heat up. You've got Katter Price and Joseph Essinger. Carter was not able to really pull away from them during their battle, so Joseph's going to be coming up right behind him.
This is our closest fight on track currently as well. Angelo Bovino within a second of Andrew Slovak, but unfortunately Andrew does have quite a bit more pace on him at the moment.
Yeah, but we don't know if Slovak has damage as Katter goes off the track, and Joseph Essinger is going to take a look to the inside of turn 4. Isn't there, but they're going to go side by side. Oh, Katter with some trouble on the exit, and Joseph Essinger is going to get around him around the outside and go right into P2.
As you said, that's a very unpopular passing zone, but with Katter's issues through that complex, it just kind of gave an open lane right on through.
And that was so slow for both of them that Andrew Slovak was able to make up 2 full seconds as they went through that turn complex. As this battle heats up, Luis Sampaio is within the draft of Alex Loffi. Alex Loffi, I believe, is our lone Canadian in today's race.
Right on his bumper, he's in the draft, and it looks like he has quite the strong run here.
He does. And going down the back straight, they're going to be alongside for roller coaster. Who's going to have the inside? Alex tucks in behind Luis as he transitions into P6. Meanwhile, Andrew Slovak has gotten within the draft of Catter Price, who has not let Joseph Essinger go anywhere. Meanwhile, up at the front, Josh Verstappen King has just driven away from the field.
That is an 8-second gap 14 minutes into this race.
It is a testament to how much work Josh has put in. He has improved so much this season. Was a no-brainer when he graduated, but has just kept on shooting up, and he's almost at 2,400.
Yeah, and that's 400 gained in a matter of weeks since graduation. I want to say, somewhere around 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Yes. Joseph Essinger is under a lot of pressure from Catter Price right now as they go through the S's. Once again, this left-hand turn at the very end of it. Oh, you can see Catter actually messes up on. He goes wide, as does Andrew Slovak. My God, I bet you that's a little bit harder to see at night.
Oh, I'm sure. Considering how blind that corner is in the daylight, who knows where you're going? That's an adventure.
It's an adventure, and that is going to give Joseph Essinger a 3-second lead over Andrew Slovak, who has gotten past Catter Price into third place. But our two leaders right now, Josh King in the pros, Joseph Essinger in the AMs, are looking very, very good. We have now ticked under 5 minutes to go in this race. So the question is, will Andrew Slovak be able to catch Joseph Essinger?
That's tough to say. We have a handful of laps left, and Andrew is about a second faster, just under a second faster. So we might see these two come back together right at the end, I would guess.
Andrew's fastest lap, a blistering 153.7, which is actually only 0.02 of a second faster than Josh King's 153.7. My God, these guys are just flying.
If Andrew had qualified for this race, I think we would have quite the battle for P1 here.
Yeah. Maybe that's a suggestion we might make for next race.
That is something that definitely needs to happen.
Because they are on even pace. Meanwhile, this is our closest battle on track right now. The battle for P2 and then also P3. So Andrew Slovak has gotten back on the draft of Joseph Essinger. And we will see whether his patience has run out. It is worth noting, Joseph Essinger is one of our hardest racers on the track. He is not giving anything up without a fight.
Definitely not. Most of the time very fair as well, but that is one driver who does not give an inch.
Yes, and in that wide old BMW as well. As Andrew Slovak is now 2 tenths behind him. He got a great run on the front straight. Takes a look to the inside of turn 1, nothing doing.
Joseph a little wide through turn 1.
Oh.
Andrew right alongside him, coming into T2. Who's going to have it?
Andrew Slovak on the outside. Puts his bumper in. Slovak has maintained the position, goes off a little bit. Is he going to be able to keep it? So, as we said before, this left-hand turn kink coming into the Oak Tree Hill is going to be very, very important. These guys are racing really, really fast, and it is very easy to get a bad exit or a bad entry into this turn. So this will likely decide the outcome of this battle.
Looks like everyone through there nice and clean. maybe a little bit of outside tires onto the
Oh,
grass there, but overall,
Andrew Andrew Slovak's last lap was a 1:53.4.
that is flying.
That is so fast.
Especially considering our nighttime switch over here. It just gets so challenging to see.
Yes, it does. We are going to have Josh King go around Hog Pen, and when he crosses the finish line, we should be on white flag for race one. The question is Joseph going to be able to hold off Carter? Or Catter, I should say. Catter is right on his tail as we head into the white flag.
Looking at these guys' fastest laps, they are neck and neck. Oh, and Joseph off wide.
Oh, no, and that's going to put him under pressure from Angela, who is coming around at full speed. Is he going to be able to make a run on him? That's a shame. Just goes to show the pressure they're under.
Absolutely. It never lets up. Somebody's always there to challenge the position, the pace, the fastest lap.
And, racing, it's, not like a football game where you can run up the score. You know what? The last person who makes a mistake typically has to deal with it. So as we head into this final lap, it does look like the gaps have reached a fairly healthy lead. You don't necessarily expect anybody to make a run without a huge mistake. Meanwhile, Josh King, 8.5 seconds ahead of Andrew Slovak, is going to go around roller coaster for the final time.
We do have a little bit of a battle heating up, maybe in the final corners. Angelo Bovino down 7/10 behind Essinger.
They're about to head down roller coaster as Josh King does a little bit of weaving, but he is going to cross the finish line in first place as our pro winner for race one.
Congrats to him. That is another dominant race.
Well, are we going to have a drag race to the finish here? We will almost. No, not necessarily. Andrew Slovak coming across the line in P2. Carter Price in P3, but P1 in our AM division. Joseph Essinger P4, and then Angelino Bovino P5, and Luis, very, very nice recovery, dropped to P6.
We have our last couple of drivers coming across the line here, doing their celebratory crash into the wall into T1.
And it looks like we are just about through. Only a couple drivers left on the track.
Dylan Caldwell. Oh,
yep.
Go ahead.
Now, Dylan Caldwell is going to flash his lights as he crosses the finish line in P9, and then we've got Eric Faust and Chris Kohler, the only ones left on track.
Lots of flashing lights. Looks like everybody overall is happy with how their race went. Lots of battles.
That was an action-packed race one at VIR.
Absolutely. And I can only imagine race 2 is only going to bring a little bit more heat and a little bit more spice.
That indeed. All right. We're going to go ahead and get race 2 up and running here.
And we are back for race number 2 of the evening. Ironically, we're set more in the daytime for this race than we are race 1.
Yes, we are. Race 1, surprisingly at night, but you know, what's life without a little chaos? And we are here at race 2, and we are going to see Andrew Slovak qualify. So will he be able to give Josh King a run for his money today?
That is the question. Both of those guys very close on pace. Andrew going just a little bit faster towards the end of race 1, but at the same time, Josh King was just in cruise control, making the laps count, getting them across the line, 0 mistakes. So we might see a little bit more from him this race as well.
That's true, and the other person to look out for was Luis Sampaio. Luis, on sector 2 of last race, unfortunately went off and had a lot to do afterwards, so we'll see whether he can make it interesting up at the top as well.
And I'm sure he will. Knowing Lewis, he, that redemption race, this race 2, he always comes back, always comes charging through the field, ready for a fight.
You also have a very quick name change to tell you about. Dylan Caldwell is now Boots. And the reason he's Boots is he's about to get shipped off to Police Academy, and that's what they'll probably call him for the next 10 years.
Now the real question is, where did that nickname actually come from? Is it Puss in Boots?
I have no idea. I think it's honestly just what they call rookie officers.
Yeah.
And we thought about giving him the name Rookie, but that actually sounded a little bit cool, and there's a movie that makes it cool. We did not want Boots to be cool.
Well, poor Dylan Caldwell on that one.
Joseph Essinger, our first to complete a lap, putting in a 55.4. That is a very respectable time.
Now we are looking at a little bit warmer conditions here. Track conditions up to 84 degrees.
Yep, that is ideal. And once again, not to harp on it, but this race will be during the day. It will be in conditions that our drivers have practiced on. But despite the fact that it was a night, that was a very clean race. Everybody was very respectful of each other, but also didn't give each other too much leeway. And we're looking to see the same thing happen in race 2.
Now that everybody can see with ease, no headlights, no shadows playing any games, I'm sure we're going to see less off tracks, hopefully. A little bit more battling, a little bit closer fights.
Got Hatter Price taking provisional pole at the 155.3. We do expect that to go down.
And
Slovak.
I was going to say not much longer we had to wait. Josh King with a 154.2 followed by Andrew's 153.4.
Alright, Josh, you got a battle on your hands, dude. What a blistering lap. That is like a top split qualifying lap. Behind him, Hatter Price, Joseph Essinger, those two were very close last race. It's not surprising to see them close again.
Catter Price rocking the brand new CTD livery. That is a black on dark purple. I think it's I forget the exact purple color, but man, it is subtle and it looks sleek.
It looks excellent. I might have to switch to that one. It looks way too good. All of our graphics, by the way, and liveries are done by the Rockstar, which is Ed Alberto. So everybody owes him a pretty big debt of gratitude.
Yeah, as always, huge thank you to Eddie.
We're running about maybe 2 minutes and 15 seconds till the end of qualifying, so 1 to 2 more laps for everybody.
Now we do have quite a few drivers who don't have a lap in place yet. The Ringmeister, Luis Sampaio, Boots, Jeremy Melton, Eric Faust. We're still missing quite a few laps.
Yeah, and Luis Sampaio crosses the line with 2 minutes left, so he's got 2 chances to put in a clean lap here, and he might run into traffic. Actually, no, that is Josh and Andrew ahead of him. I doubt he's going to run into traffic.
Angelo Bovino making it up to P3 with a 54.497. That was, I believe, good for second place in race 1.
Yes, that's very, very quick. He's been pretty unlucky this week when it comes to crashes and just officials, but that lap is no lie. He is very fast, and I don't expect to see him at 1.5 iRating for much longer.
Definitely not. That is purely a matter of time. And once again, we see him and Joseph right next to each other on grid.
Yeah. You know, Angelo was somebody who made a big leap forward probably about a month ago and has just been cruising ever since. So we often say it, pace is half the battle, the other half is staying alive. Luis Sampaio going down roller coaster. He is about 2 seconds up on his previous best, and we don't know what that is, so let's see if he's able to get a good hot pen and cross the line. This looks like a good lap. I'm very curious now. A 1:54.6. He crosses the line with 3 seconds to go. He's going to have one more chance. And he does not take it. It looks like he's going to start around the P5.
And we missed it. Andrew Slovak, a 52.9.
Oh. Ha, Josh, you thought you had a chance. You thought, oh, I'm going to put in a 1:53 and maybe, nope. I mean, that is one of the fastest laps of anybody in the GT4s.
That is a top 10 time across all cars, all makes. That is no slouch of a time. Josh and Angelo, Catter, Lewis, Joseph, those guys have their work cut out for them.
They're going to have to hope for some VR shenanigans.
Which I will say Andrew is known for. No, there's nothing off the table as of yet.
And let's be clear, VIR is a place where mistakes are heavily punished. Pretty much the entire track is runoff grass. There are a couple parts of the track where if you go wide, you lose a ton of time. So even though Andrew's pace is blistering, he still has to run a good race here. And that, I believe, is everybody. Yes, give me a sec. Yeah, I can go. Yep, ready. All right, and let's take a look at our starting grid for race 2. Starting in first place, Andrew Slovak. Second place, Josh King, followed by Angelo Bovino and Carter Price, followed by Luis Sampaio and Joseph Essinger, followed by Alex Lofi and Jeremy Melton, followed by Eric Faust and Chris Kohler. The scientists bringing up the rear in P11 in terms of who put in times. Behind them, we'll have the Permed Mullet, the Ringmeister, and Boots. And we are going to have a very, very interesting race here. Let's take a look at the time. This race should start at around maybe 7 p.m. at night. So we shouldn't see the visibility go down too much. Yep, it's going to start at about 7:15, well within daytime. And our gridding has begun, and our drivers will go ahead and take their spots on the grid. Man. This is going to be fascinating. So we get the sense that Andrew and Josh are probably just going to race away from the field. That is what they typically do. But Angelo Pavino, Carter Price, Luis Sampaio, Joseph Essinger are the guys to look at. They are so close in pace. We've seen them battle all year long. And every one of them very respectful racers, but none of them really enjoy losing, and they race that way. So we've got about a minute to go as we grid up here. Once again, we mentioned this last race, VIR, one of the only tracks where they start on the pit lane. It's almost like if you've ever raced at Charlotte Speedway, they start you in almost like a line, and you all pull out side by side by side by side. That's the only race I can think of where they do that.
Yeah, if anybody has an answer as to why we line up in the pit lane, that answer is more than welcomed.
Yes, it will keep us up at night until you give us the answer, so please give us the answer.
And boy, do we need some sleep.
But let me tell you, what's not putting us to sleep is the racing. There was no boredom last race, and we're hoping for the same for this race.
Oh, it's an expectation at this point. I don't think there's been a dull moment all season long with these guys.
I don't believe so, unless the track made it so. But whenever these guys can race, they race. And our pace car is about to set off here, and Andrew Slovak will be the one starting our race up once we get all the way around the track.
It is quite a long pace lap around here, but there are some benefits. Like we said, race one, you get a really good opportunity to do some studying, figure out where everybody is at in terms of where you qualified. But this is such a great opportunity to get your tires nice and warm too. We've seen
one thing to note: Angelo Bovino, who qualified P3, did not make it to the grid. He's going to start from the pit lane.
Not where he wants to be.
But that is going to give Luis Sampaio essentially a P3 start. So very lucky for Luis. And that is going to put him right in contention for a podium.
I know he does not take well to his mistakes either. He's going to be looking to rectify that issue he had in Sector 2, Race 1.
Absolutely. This is going to be a fascinating one.
As we wait for these guys to finish this out lap here, Imola next week. That's going to be an interesting combo for these GT4 cars. That is an interesting track as far as high speed, low speed, medium speed, chicanes, big old curbs. It's got a little bit of everything there.
Absolutely. It is not a track for the weak. It is a very technical track. It is a very old track. It's been around forever. They run it in F1 and have for years and years and years. And my experience of racing Imola is that there is no straightforward part of that course. Especially those final two left-handers at the very end are deceptive.
Yeah, well said. There isn't a single moment of relaxation around that lap. You have to be on it the entire time, 10 tenths the entire time. And those last two corners, as you said, man, they will bite. You can wind up in the gravel on entry, in the middle, on exit. There's all kinds of ways for that to ruin your lap.
Yes, and F1 tracks in iRacing tend to be very popular. Typically, when people are looking to pick up tracks, they go for ones they know. Imola is one that everybody knows. So for officials, there should be a lot of participation, a lot of competitiveness, and it should hopefully push our racers to get some good practice in.
Yeah, most definitely.
We are going to head down the roller coaster and head right into the final hog pen turn. The pace car will come in, and Andrew Slovak will lead us off for the first time this season.
Josh, ready for that fight. He wants to let Andrew know, I am not giving up this race. Just because you have a little bit more pace in qualifying means nothing.
Pace car is in. We are waiting for Andrew to hit the gas. He does, and Josh is going to tuck in right behind him.
Green, green, green.
Josh getting a little caught off guard there. There's already about a half-second gap between those two.
Yeah, he wasn't ready for it. And they're going to head into turn one. Last turn one was drama-free this time. Drama-free as well.
Joseph making an interesting move into T3 that takes him in Catter Price out of contention.
That was unfortunate. Looks like Catter is worse for the wear. We also have the Ringmeister also spun out. He's going to have to rejoin the track. Looks
like there was a little bit of a pile up there into T4. The classic 3 cannot go into 1 situation.
Yeah, and turn 4 is one where that absolutely cannot happen. Luis Sampaio has also gotten past Josh King. So we've got Luis, who is now in contention here. So Josh, yeah, the pileup at turn 4 actually really hurt Josh. He had to go off the track, sort of cut the corner there. I don't believe he had to slow down, but he did have to slow down quite a bit. He is going to look to hunt down Luis Sampaio.
As you always say, surviving the race is the first absolute challenge. So the fact that he's still in it, that's got to give him a lot of hope.
Yes, it does, especially after last race. Luis is looking for some big points. We don't expect him to be in the AM category for very long. So, you know, if he's able to get an AM win before he inevitably promotes to the Pro League, I think that would be a nice send-off. Andrew Slovak, 2.5 lead. Battles that are going on right now. There is a battle for second with Josh King and Luis Sampaio. There is a battle for fourth with Alex Lofi, Jeremy Melton, and Eric Faust very, very close behind them. Joseph Essinger and Catter Price have a lot of work to do. They are going to try to get back up into the front. We saw Luis do it last race. He was able to get all the way up to P6. Let's see if Joseph and Cater can make the same gains.
Joseph about a half of a second behind Boots. Definitely looking to take advantage. You can tell he's just using all of the track, where some of these guys towards the back of the pack. As we see a car go spinning into the grass, that's, I believe, Alex Lofi into the tire barrier. That is going to be a meatball for that Cayman.
That is a broken car, and that is unfortunate for Alex Lofi.
Essinger continuing to close the door around the outside into Oak Tree, and it looks like Boots is going to put up too much of a fight through there.
Not having it. So unfortunately, the same place that Luis Sampaio got caught out last race. Alex Lofi unfortunately hitting the grass, going through those very small S's, and meatballing his car in the tire barriers. Meanwhile, Josh King has not let Luis have any breathing room whatsoever.
that gap down to 3/10 as they come across the start-finish line.
Behind them, we've got Jeremy Melton, Eric Faust, the Scientist, and the Permed Mullet. And Joseph Essinger very close behind the Permed Mullet.
Yeah, the Scientist, the Mullet, and Essinger, they're going to be an interesting little pack to watch fight.
Yes, as Josh King puts in the fastest lap of the race, a 153 flat. He is going to put a lot of pressure here on Luis. This is an unfamiliar place for Josh to be, given these last couple of weeks. He's looking at a car in front of him.
Yeah, I don't know that he's used to the exhaust smell, to be honest.
Yeah, and dirty air and the draft. I mean, this is going to be throwing him off in a big way, as Luis has trouble going around turn 7 there, or turn 10, my bad. As they head up into Oak Tree, he is able to maintain the position. That turn 10 is a big one. We've been talking about that all day.
It looked like Lewis has been struggling with that corner over the last 2 races here as well. If Josh is smart, he's going to bide his time, be nice and patient, and look for that move on the following couple of laps.
We've got Joseph Essinger into the grass again. Unfortunately, he collided with the Scientist coming out of Oak Tree. Just not enough room there on the track for both of them. He is going to have it all to do again. That is the problem with hard racing. Sometimes you end up in the gravel.
Keeping tabs with our battle for P2 with Lewis and Josh. Josh just a mere 3/10 behind him still.
Yes, he is being very patient. Maybe he's just forgotten how to overtake.
that is a possibility. Josh tends to lead so many of these races. I'm not sure he remembers.
Let's see if these drills that we do, the Academy does attack and defend drills. Let's see if they've paid off this week.
The interesting part to that is normally these 2 drivers are the ones that get paired up with each other.
That is true. I mean, they are both extremely quick. They're both advanced drivers. And I gotta say, the gap between the top 3 and everybody else really does remind me of F1, where you've got the McLarens and Max and everybody else.
With that being said, the gap is not as large as we saw when Josh was leading our race 1. That gap is only 2.3 seconds. We are approaching the halfway point.
We are. Andrew Slovak did put in a 153.3, which is, again, blistering quick. We did see a 152.9 in qualifying. Josh King taking a look on the inside of the roller coaster. Nothing doing there. They are going to get close. Josh, once again, looking around the outside. Nothing there.
Now, these guys do need to be a little bit more methodical here. If they are going to challenge Andrew for that P1 spot, they need to cooperate just a little bit more.
Yep. Because we all know who isn't going to slow down, and that is Mr. Andrew Slovak. Also battling right now, we've got the Permed Mullet and the Scientist. The Permed Mullet is going to go wide through Hog Pen, and that's going to let the Permed Mullet directly by.
And immediately under pressure behind Boots.
Oh boy, the Boots and the Scientist. They are hurtling down the back straight.
Oh!
Oh, Boots. He just went for a long ride through the gravel.
Yeah, that looked like just a little bit too late in the braking zone. Just couldn't get it stopped.
He missed his braking point by a very large distance there, unfortunately for Boots, and he is going to have to go back to the pit lane. Meanwhile, Josh has passed Luis, but Luis is right on his tail.
And while you say that, the Scientist off into the tire barrier into turn 4, Cater Price all the way through.
Oh man, that experiment did not work out for the Scientist. in terms of what happened for P2, Josh King on the inside of turn 1 was able to get it and hold it. And they are now on the back straight with Luis very close behind.
All right, with 11 minutes to go, this is the exact time we need to see lots of cooperation between this P2 and P3 driver. Andrew,
Yep.
with a 4-second gap at the moment, they really need to claw that back.
Yeah, we're about to pass the halfway point here, and, we got to say, Andrew has not pulled away the way that we've seen Josh pull away, and that is a testament to, A, how fast Josh is, for keeping up with a extreme talent like Andrew. And what that means is Andrew's maybe only a mistake away from this being, another race.
Very true.
153.2, and for Slovak, though, he is just speeding. So, yeah, the one battle we have is for P2, so we'll probably just stick on that for a while. We've got Josh King versus Luis Sampaio. And they're going to head towards turn 3 here. We're going to head toward the fabled turn 10, as we've been talking about before. The S's are coming up. Those are flat out through these hilly S's here, and then they are going to have to brake, throw their car to the left onto the downhill straight before Oak Tree. And any mistake here loses a lot of time and sends you careening into the grass. They both navigate that very smoothly.
Now, that whole complex is really taken for granted, to be honest. The S's seem so simple when it's just you driving through there. But the moment that you try to take the S's too wide, all chaos breaks loose.
Absolutely. And that's why we tell drivers just do the lap you practice, because experiments on that part of the track specifically can often end in disaster.
Definitely.
I gotta say, you know what? Luis has not left Josh's draft. Josh has not been able to pull away like he's used to doing. Luis keeping a very nice pace as they head through Hogpen.
Now, at the moment, there is a 7/10 difference in best lap times between these two, but I have a feeling Lewis is about to break that.
Yep. Luis on a very quick lap right now. And they are both going to put in what is essentially an identical time. 154.5 versus 54.48. Wow. Once again, navigating turn 4 into turn 5. These little incy S's here, you take them flat. Everything here is flat until you get to turn 10. Should also talk a little bit about Oak Tree. So as we said earlier, Swelio Almeida, who is a pretty famous sim racer, academy leader who now races in the TCRs and IMSA, has called Oak Tree one of the most complicated corners in motorsports. And as we see our drivers go through, it's very easy to understand why. It is a double right-hander. It starts uphill and then gets flat, but you need to get all the way to the outside of the final right-hander and just accelerate through. If you sacrifice the exit, you're going to lose a lot of time because of the back straight.
Yeah, that's a fantastic explanation.
Roller coaster and Hogpen. This is just a very, very difficult course. That's one of the reasons why it's such a popular one. A lot of turns, punctuated by elevation changes.
Yeah, at face value, this track honestly seems fairly simple to navigate. And to get that pro lap time out of it is where it just becomes so dang difficult.
As Luis goes on the inside of turn 1, is he going to be able to make it stick?
That is a move we were not expecting to see. It looked like these two were really just following each other around track there for the last couple of laps.
Brilliant move by Luis Sampaio as he goes in the inside of turn 1, a very common passing zone. But now he is going to have to make it stick and defend against Josh as they go through with about 6 minutes remaining on the clock.
Yeah, it begs the question, was that move done too soon? Is he going to be able to defend for the next several laps here?
I don't know, but once again, Josh in the unfamiliar position of having to attack. One thing to note is that Andrew Slovak's 5-lap average is a 153.7, and Luis goes way off through turn 10. He's able to rejoin back into Oak Tree, and he's not going to end up losing too much time if he gets a good exit here, but that was a massive mistake.
That cost him a lot, potentially that P2 spot for the race. He has almost a second gap that he needs to get back in the next 2 or so laps.
And we just talked about it, even a little bit wide on the exit of turn 10 can be disastrous, and Luis breaking his right tires into the grass, that was just enough for him to lose control of the car. He was very lucky to keep that out of the barriers. I've seen a lot of crashes that look exactly like that. That was very nice car control from him to save it, and he is going to still remain in Josh King's draft.
I did just hear from Race Control. Boots himself sent a message into Race Comms complaining about commentator's curse. So that is gonna have to that's gonna have to be a conversation after the race, I think.
Yeah. You know, sometimes what a commentator's curse is missing a breaking point. As Josh King has now opened up a second lead on Luis Sampaio, who probably, you know, had a little bit of an anxious moment as he regained control of his car. He will have to settle down. There are 4 minutes remaining in this race, and he still has a chance here.
Yeah, now's the time where those deep breaths and that mindset refocus really needs to happen. I'm sure he's a little bit rattled, and if he doesn't get in control of those emotions, that's going to be a hard one to get back.
Yeah, as we head through the turn 10 that Luis struggled on last time, let's see if he's able to handle it better. Looks like he does, and he is going to take a very, very smooth line through Oak Tree. Josh going a little bit wide. This might give Luis some time to catch up as he heads into the draft on the back straight.
I think that's about a 4/10 gain there. He's under a second to that gap now.
And he is going to sit in the draft. This is a very long straight, followed by the difficult roller coaster and hog pen turns. And he was able to gain a couple tenths there on the straight. Josh going a little bit wide into the entry of Hog Pen. Remains to be seen whether that was a mistake. That is sometimes the correct entry there. But let's see if Luis was able to get a better exit and whether he'll be able to catch up. We've got about 2 laps to go here at Virginia. Ooh, little slow an exit there from Luis.
Yeah, a little bit of time lost there, unfortunately.
As they navigate turn 3 and 4, they're going to head through the mini S's and then the big S's and then the vaunted turn 10. We're after Angelo Vivino, P3, might have had some family stuff happen, wasn't able to make the race, but he absolutely would have been in contention and likely in this battle if he were here.
Absolutely. His pace around here has been nothing short of incredible.
As they both navigate turn 10 very, very nicely. On the open, we've seen Luis gain some time here on Josh. Let's see whether he is able to get a better exit and chill in the draft. It looks like he might have.
It was a little bit of a weak exit there. He didn't track out nearly as far as he has in the several past laps there, but he is maintaining that same gap.
Yes. see
Honor-
Josh is going to. Just go ahead.
Honorable mentions. We do have Jeremy Melton in P4, followed by the Permed Mullet in P5. I don't think we've seen either of those guys make it this far into the race, let alone that high up the grid.
Yeah, typically the mullet is, somewhat associated with terrible crashes. And so far, the per mullet, no Beyblade this week, as we head into the final lap for Andrew Slovak and our top 2 and 3.
We do have another position change. It looks like the Ringmeister getting past Alex Lofi for P9. Alex having a little bit of an issue there, falling back quite a bit. He's 11 seconds down on a normal lap there, so some type of an issue there for him.
We also have a meatball, which is Eric Faust on Hogpen, just losing control of the car into the tire barrier, and that will be it. Meanwhile, our battle for second continues. We do have a monkey wrench in the mix, which is the Ringmeister. They are catching the Ringmeister at breakneck speed. Will they be able to get him before the straight? And will Josh benefit from the draft, because Luis was very close to him. And now Josh gets a draft that he did not have before.
That gap closer than ever.
Ringmeister wisely getting out of the way, but that might have just been the little edge that Josh needed in order to maintain a winning advantage here. Andrew Slovak heading around Hogpen, and he is going to be our winner for race 2. Just phenomenal pace as always by Andrew Slovak. Josh King able to hold off Luis Sampaio in an excellent race. Probably a little bit, more tense than Josh is used to.
Yeah, that was quite the pressure on him. All race, really.
Yes.
And once again, our celebratory...
That was a good one.
Our celebratory finishes there. Everyone crashing their cars into the barrier in T1. Kudos to those guys.
The Ringmeister with one of the best crashes I've seen this year. He flipped completely over. How did he do that?
Jeremy Melton coming to a very calm, cool, and collected stop, just bumping the barrier, followed by Carter Price, taking it to the space station with how much air he got.
I've got Carter Price, Joseph Essinger, and the Perm Mullet still on track. See whether they will also do the customary launch into the wall. There goes Joseph Essinger. Full blast. The Perm Mullet 2. Oh, the Perm Mullet flies into the forest.
Chris Kohler completely obliterating the front end of his car, and that is going to wrap up our race 2 results.
Yes, indeed.
An absolute domination victory from Andrew Slovak. Nicely done to him, followed by Josh King in P2 and Jeremy Melton in P3 for our pro class. Luis Sampaio in P1 for our AMs. Kudos to him. He's going to be joining the pro class very, very soon, I'm sure. Carter Price in P2, followed by Chris Kohler in P3. We'll have to double check on the timing there, the timing and scoring. But that is going to wrap up our race 2 and our week at VAR for the league.
For everybody chasing the Delta, thank you for tuning in. Next week is our final week of the season at Imola in Italy, so we will hope to see you there.
Have a great night, guys, and we'll see and talk to everybody soon.
Yep, take care.